Hi guys, welcome back on the channel. On today's video, we're going to have a flip through and discuss on a supplement for Baron's Wars rules called Death and Taxes. So without any delay, let us start. I have to say that it is a book with a lot of content and I was extremely impressed. And if you stay along the full video, I think you're going to realize that as well. So let's start talking about the credits a little bit. Written by Andy Hobday, developed by Andy Hobday and George Asling. Scenarios by Tom McCready. Artwork, Peter Dennis and Steve Beckett. Book design production is Steve Beckett. Photography, it's Ben McIntyre, Daniel Wingen, HMV Workbench and Andy Hobday. And miniature design is Paul Hicks. Painting is Daniel Wingman, Jen Allam, Darren Linton, Ben McIntyre, Steve Beckett, and George Asling, and terrain from Warhorse Online. So let's continue and start with, there is a small paragraph from Andy Hobday about this book, but we will understand. It really explains what is the content. But here in the content, you can understand what three sections we have. So we have the Death and Taxes campaign, where you have the introduction of the campaign, generally speaking, how campaigns we've seen campaign flip-throughs on the channel, and they are similar, but this is obviously because it's a full book. It is has a lot more content. As you can see, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 battles. The other books have 3. Then we go to Outlaw Retinue list. This is a new army list, is not included in the Baron's War book, rule book, and it's Outlaw Retinue list with some details. So we're going to see this as well. And the section of the book I was extremely impressed was the Baron's War campaign rules, where these campaign rules, trust me, you can use for any medieval era, Dark Ages, Baron's War, 100 Years' War, I think even Wars of the Roses, because it's generic. And also they have some brilliant maps that you can download from Warhost website. So without any delay, you start with the introduction, where he is setting the scene of the campaign, the first section of the book, and then you get a guide to Wimentun village. This is an imaginary village that is the center of the campaign. Here is the village, how it looks, and what you require to have in order to portray it. And then we're talking about the villagers, a background history. Now, key buildings, which the Forge and the Church of St. Oswald, and some special rules regarding these buildings. Then you have the pigs, and other special rules, and the tree house. I can imagine this is that top Robin Hood stronghold. We continue with some notes about how you're fighting within the buildings, and then you have the faction and the characters. You have Philip Mark, High Sheriff of Nottinghamshire, so that's one of the characters. Then you have its army list, and his characteristics, how you can equip him. Then you have Eustace de Lonham. He's the under-sheriff with his guard. As you can see, I think these are sergeants. And then Eustace's characteristics again and attributes. And then you have Walter de Grey, Archbishop of York. Here are some miniatures that are suggested from the Baron's War, how you can portray him. And then you have the priest of Wimentun, and again his characteristics and attributes. The blacksmith of Wimentun, I think, or Wimentun, I don't know if I'm pronounced it correctly. And you have new warrior types, outlaws, Robin Hood, and the Templars. Templars play an important role in this campaign, because they are supposed to be coming to support the outlaws. So here you have the outlaws. I can imagine this in the center. The tall guy is Little John. And then you continue how the scenario follows. The scenarios are as follows, with the changing conditions listed for ease of reference. So here it explains you the scenarios and wealth tokens, the outlaw spy, the lapa. It's a very, very interesting campaign. And then you start the 7 battles that increase in points, and the background story. We've seen this before in our campaigns that we showcased. And the campaign I started, and we fought battle 1. So here is the deployment and the objectives, the building, special rules, scenario, victory conditions, then spring the trap, 750 points, again with more details. We have Flemish surgeons apparently in this campaign, in this part of the battle, of the campaign battle. And we continue pulling the bishop, another, this is I think 500 points scenario that you continue. These are continuous battles that are part of the campaign. A spilled pint. It really has a lot of content. You see, already we have 5 battles for this campaign. The Soul of Wimentun, again, the map in the bottom and the armies here. I think you're familiar from the other showcases. Deployment, special rules, and the scenario on the final battle of 1,000 points that you're fighting. It's retinue Robin Hood and his merry men here on the left. And on the right, Philip Mark, High Sheriff of Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire, and the Royal Forest. So this is the final battle. Here is where the final battle is, deployment, objectives. You can burn the building, apparently, from what I see. And concluding the campaign. That's actually a nice, interesting rule, putting out the fires. Something that I may look a bit later on. Concluding the campaign, if the sheriff has won, how he wins. And then introducing, this is the first section of the book. And now we're going to the second section of the book that's introducing the medieval Outlaws army list. Again, a background story, building your brand of outlaws. And here are the army lists. There are the attributes of the outlaws and miniatures that you can use. Cutthroats, these are different units. Bandits and petty criminals, forest slingers, outlaw bowman, outlaw leaders. Robert Fitzwalter could be an outlaw leader, obviously. Outlaw noble and mounted outlaw nobles. That's good because you can add nobles in your outlaw army. Here are all the attributes. Outlawed noble command groups. Outlaw commander, deserter capitan, deserters, poachers. And here's some abilities, special lists here, and that probably are not included in the original. There may be the extra lists, obviously, of abilities. And you have also signaler's ability, so that sounds quite interesting. Name your outlaw characters, how you name them. Eustace the Monk, here is his attributes. Falk Fitzwarren, again, his attributes here. William Cassingham, outlaw of the French. This is a nice map of William of Cassingham and his army list. Outlaw leader generator. This is how you generate the outlaw leaders if you want to have your own outlaw leaders, and weapons that he can use and characteristics. So up to now, a very well structured and full of content book. Now we go to the third part of the book, and that's the campaign rules. That I was very impressed. I have to say, these campaign rules can be fought for every era. They're really well made, well structured. You have all the free maps in Warhost website that will be linked in the video description, and I think you can enjoy it. So you have a story. The story you generate. So depending, you have here, you see, you roll a d6 and you decide the reason for the campaign and the objectives. So if you roll, for example, a 6 here below, it says a reason for the campaign is Warrior Knight, and the objective is to remove the greater total number of enemy commanders from the campaign before the end of the campaign year. So that is your objective. You have 6 objectives. Then you create in your own campaign commander, and it has examples how you can create your campaign commander. Here it is, his attributes, his retinue leader, chivalry rating. That's very important for the campaign. It shows you the example, it explains you really. And here is the relationship. You can generate relationship with you and your retinue leader. So you are making a campaign, you're not the retinue leader, but you're the campaign leader, and you have a relationship. So if you roll a 3, for example, here we see you are a feudal tenant. Your nobles are bound together by homage. One holds land owned by other. Now you go to chivalry, and depending on if you're a retinue leader or a banner commander, and you continue with more characteristics that will make the campaign more, fresh and more exciting and give it more depth, like royalist or rebel. So depending on what you roll, you're a royalist on the side of John, you're a rebel on the side of Louis. You have options, and here the result. Before the start of the campaign, roll d6. randomly to generate how the war is progressing. If the royalists have the upper hand, all the royalist players receive a +1 to their morale rolls. If the rebels, they receive their morale bonus instead. So you give advantages. So if you roll a 4 or 5, the rebels. If you roll a 1, stalemate, no bonus. That's quite interesting. You get bonuses in your die rolls. Here's commanders of the campaign, numbers of supplies. It has a supply system, a very interesting supply system. That's why I'm telling you, it's a very, very interesting, comprehensive campaign, comprehensive campaign that can be used in any medieval era. It's very generic. So here's the campaign map, and this is your camp, and this is the starting territory. It explains to you how the campaign map works. It's with hexes, how you generate randomly maps if you want. And here it shows you, obviously, the roads have to have a continuation and do not have to break. We go here, it talks to you about the rules regarding hexes. So for example, if your tile is a camp, this is your base of operations for the campaign. At the start of the new season, replacement commanders must start from this player's camp. It costs 1 move to travel across this tile, counts as 2 supplies when foraging. So every campaign tile has some special rules, and there are quite a lot, as you see: forest, wood, bridged river, forded river, river, road, hill, flatland. So there is quite a lot more here: marshes, swamps, rocky outcrops, and villages. This will work very well with my maps. So here is this tree house we were talking about earlier. And here is an example of a campaign map that you can download from Warhorse. There are some really interesting campaign maps there. An example of a hex map. So here is, you see, your territory is 1 hex around your, what is here purple, what is yellow. It's 1 hex around your camp. And here, playing the campaign duration, markers you require, start the campaign round, phase 1, weather events and movement, phase 2, battle, phase 3, foraging, intrigue, and housekeeping. So quite interesting things you do. Campaign year table. So when the year you will start, and what will be the weather, because you can start in February, but it would be heavy winter, or at 5 and 6 you can get a little bit of spring there. So weather table, you roll, obviously, you consider, you roll, and then, things are changing regarding the weather. You have sleet, rain, hot, mild. This reminds me of my campaign. It's actually good. It's a very comprehensive campaign. And weather table, it shows you the snow, the sleet, the rain, the cold, the mild, and hot weather. What are the effects? Let's say mild weather, plus D3 supplies when calculating replenishment from the number of hex territories, and no effect in battle. Random events table, and that's quite interesting because you can have, these random events. I like them in rules because they, like the blunder rule in Hail Caesar, I think they give a spice to your battle. So let's say if you roll the 2d6s basically. So there's 66. Let's go to another page. 55, 66. So if we go back and let's say we roll 43, call to arms. Your knights are needed to fight in an upcoming battle. You may not take any knights other than your command group for the rest of the season. I mean, fantastic. That's very clever, actually. So your knights are called from your lord, and for the next season, if you have any battles, your knights are not available except your own retinue. Brilliant. So we go then to consume supplies, depending on the movement. And phase 3 is the battle, how you challenge your neighbors, explains the movement here. And the retinue size of the battle, how it's getting generated, 500 points, 750 points, 1000 points. It says, and here you continue consuming supplies, foraging table. Let's say we're all 89, veritable feast. The group has more than enough to go around, gain 1 additional supply token, so that's good. So you go to injury table also. If you're injured or captured, the result is here. We had this, I think, in previous campaigns. Quite interesting. And then you go a ransom table. So that's if a commander is captured, roll on the ransom table to decide their fate. You may choose to use the ransom table instead of injury table for all commanders retire in battle, treating them all as captured. So there's an option here. Here are supplies, how you defeat, how you capture hex tiles, capturing a tile without a battle, and here is contesting another player's camp. This is a really, really detailed but very simple in mechanics campaign. Here is example. How is you foraging? You have to have an uninterrupted line from your camp in order to get supplies. Something that actually was doing in my campaign without knowing this. Here you have intrigue and plots, intrigue table. So if you roll, let's say, 25, the cavalry arrives, gain an extra 5% points for free in your next battle. So a lot of stuff. Intrigue table goes up to 66. Housekeeping, here is your housekeeping, ending the campaign round, ending the season, and obviously here is the points. With victories, you see victory, losses, and obviously rewards you get depending on your victory of the season. Another brilliant idea. So for example, if you roll a 4, you get +1 to all initiative rolls during a battle. And this is based obviously on your campaign success. So you have Sulu rating and you have notes. His retinue leader, he is, for example, of Domino. Militaris has been added to the Earl of Arundel's campaign roster along with the title of Duke of Rutland. So here you have more campaign resources, ending campaign, more details, and here is campaign rosters. Here are hexes that you can print, given to you by the authors that you can print and create your own maps. So what do I think about Death and Taxes in this very quick flip through, and I hope you realize as well, it's a book with a lot of content. It has a setup campaign that you can play, like kind of Robin Hood style, that it's set out to you, and you have obviously a new army list of outlaws, but in my opinion, the campaign that is available on the third section of the third part of the book has so much detail, it's so interesting, and you saw from the couple of things we read, it's so generic in a way that you can use it for any theatre of war, medieval theatre of war. Maybe with a little bit of tweaks, you can use it anywhere because you have really interesting, very, very interesting scenarios. You know, the campaign has a lot of substance with all die rolling and the relationship with your leader, and I like the supplies. I like the rewards. It's a really, really good campaign. Please let me know if you're interested. I am thinking of starting a campaign like this. It's very deep and it will be very, very interesting. Anyway, guys, this is from me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great weekend and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.